Hi guys, my name is Noelle Mulligan. Most people call me Noelani. I'm a professional stuntwoman, filmmaker, and director, and today I am with my friend Dawnmarie Deshaies, who was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis in 2012, though she's been dealing with the symptoms of it for over 30 years. Dawnmarie Deshaies is here to help you to find a way through multiple sclerosis in a positive light and tell her story. Dawnmarie.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, really nice to see you on this beautiful Tuesday morning.
Tuesday morning, yes.
A nice day, yeah. So I wanted to kind of talk to you about, first of all, when it comes to multiple sclerosis, it's something that affects a lot of people in a really heavy negative way.
Yes.
So what is that for you? How did you learn how to take that negative and flip it into a positive view for you to move through the world?
At first, not knowing what was going on with me and dealing with what I called my phantoms, my pains, and for years being undiagnosed and dismissed by multiple doctors. Throughout the years, I learned to hide my pain and fatigue as a facade and a smile on my face every single day. And today, living the way that I live after being diagnosed and learning how to understand the symptoms of when they would attack, or what would trigger an attack, or what would basically cause a flare-up attack of any sorts of speech disability, not being able to walk, hold a cup, simple things. I found that I started to notice when I was happy and positive, the symptoms kind of stayed at bay. Mm-hmm. And the more that I paid attention to those signs, I realized that I needed to surround myself with colors and positivity and energy and people around me that were always positive versus being around the people that are negative and draining. Mm-hmm. So when you live with any autoimmune disease or depression or anything in life that stresses you out, the best thing for you to do is surround yourself with a positive outlook on life. And so I had to retrain myself that every day, even though I'm in pain, I have to continue to force myself to stay positive. So I read a lot of poetry.
Interesting.
And then I love the ocean sound, and it's extremely healing to me. And I try to be surrounded by just light and positivity. And when I'm having tough days, I put on my beads that a lot of people believe in, and a lot of people don't, but I do, and they comfort me. And I usually grab the light ones, and I kind of talk in my mind's eye, mm-hmm. and just think of positive things and the stuff that I have accomplished living with MS, and the things that I have dealt with, and I have crashed and burned and didn't want to get back up, and I didn't want to fight anymore because it was just too hard.
How do you recognize when something is a fear that isn't necessarily based in a reality versus an accomplishment that you can focus on instead? So how do you balance seeing something as a fear or flipping it into a challenge that you could turn into an accomplishment?
That's a tough one. The fear of people not understanding what we go through is a true fear. It's like living in a nightmare. That keeps replaying and replaying, and when you try to flip that around into a positive, it's like rewriting life's story. It's going back in time, and every day we all live in fear. Every day I live in fear, not knowing if it's going to be my last attack and I'm down and out. So I'm sorry, you asked a question on how I turn fear into positivity.
How you take something that is a trigger for fear or worry and then flip it into a challenge where you can make it an accomplishment of conquering that fear.
Okay, so I used to be fearful of travel.
Travel, okay. Yeah. What
And
aspects of travel?
I didn't want to travel after I was diagnosed because I didn't know when things were going to happen to me. Mm-hmm. And I didn't know if locations were going to affect me differently. And then I realized I couldn't live my life in fear any longer, and I have to continue to live, and I need to move forward every single day, even if it's just one baby step at a time. So I have to conquer my fears every day that I wake up, and every day I keep pushing forward.
Yeah, and that's hard to do, especially when you are, you have a family, and then you are an individual as well, and a wife and a mom and a daughter, and all of these different roles that we play in life. How would you, if you wanted to teach a friend or just any other person how to take that like deep fear and become positive through it? What would be the way that you could prepare yourself for a day, like maybe meditation or affirmations? How could you start your day when you're having a tough morning in that like darker space to move forward into a better way of seeing things?
The thing that I focus on every morning, as we all do when we live with MS, we wake up in pain, we go to bed in pain. And it's the fear of the unknown, but I get myself up out of bed every morning, no matter what. And I have a morning routine where I drink my morning drink for a healthy gut, and then I slowly get myself ready for the day, and then I focus on usually 4 to 5 things of what I want to accomplish that day, and I talk to myself in the mirror a lot. And I say, today we're going to accomplish these things, and I make a list. And if I accomplish one, then it was just one. But if I accomplish all 5, then it was a huge day of celebration for me. And that's how I live every day, of like conquering my phantoms down and not letting multiple sclerosis win the battle. So I go into battle every morning, I guess you can call it.
Yeah, absolutely. You're your own Wonder Woman.
Yes.
I can respect that. Absolutely, I understand that. How do you fuel yourself nutrition-wise? How do you start your mornings, or when you need a snack, or what specific things really help you to keep feeling strong and like in it?
I had to learn how to eat a totally new way of eating, and as I get older and living with the disease of it progressing is very difficult because you constantly have to change your patterns of eating. I've noticed that my body adapts and then it triggers attacks. So I eat a paleo-based diet for most of the time, which is all protein and greens and coconut milk and things like that, but I don't do dairy from the cow unless I'm cooking dinner and it's an organic dairy. And I try to stay away from grain, so I do all paleo grains if I do have a grain.
And do you notice your energy levels are considerably different when you are eating paleo versus if you're eating, a bunch of sugary ice creams, this, that, whatever?
Yes. If I am out on a run and or we're traveling and I can't find organic foods and I have to eat out or in a restaurant that isn't all 100% organic, I do find that it attacks my body differently, and I have a longer recovery time every day to continue to move on with my life. And I notice that my symptoms come back faster and stronger, and some days it literally knocks me down and out. It's like I just got sucker punched, and it's from food, and it's frustrating as hell, to be honest with you.
Absolutely.
Because it's not only am I trying to force my brain to always stay positive, I'm trying to keep my body healthy and strong, working with doctors on longevity, and aging with a disease that keeps progressing is quite difficult. And it's a balancing act, and I constantly feel like I'm trying to balance not only the disease, I'm trying to balance me still living my life, I'm trying to balance, I kind of feel like that, like I'm the sun trying to keep everything orbiting around, or keep moving, and some days it doesn't move and I feel like I'm stuck.
Yeah, absolutely. That sounds really frustrating. What about in times when you feel like things are really dark and you feel like you only have a certain amount of asks for a friend or for whatever, and then you don't want to reveal how you're really feeling to friends or family or anything of that sort, community, because you feel like maybe you won't be accepted, or maybe you won't be invited, or you won't be included or reached out to anymore because you feel like it's almost a burden or it's too much. So how do you stop yourself from spiraling into a dark place like that and allow yourself to speak your truth and let people know when you're not doing well?
Yes, that was really hard to deal with, especially in the early years where I was constantly being told by doctors, because I would go to the doctors and ask them, like, these are my symptoms, I'm losing my vision and I'm constantly dropping things and my memory is like in and out and I feel like I'm losing time and space and I don't understand why. And they would do blood work and it would always come back normal, and so they would basically make me feel like I was obsessing over something that wasn't real.
So it didn't exist.
That it didn't exist.
Wow.
And they would give me a prescription and send me on my way of Xanax or Prozac, and I started to believe that it was easier to have a facade of the smile on my face and get up every day and continue to live my life, but deep down inside I was drowning and I was in a deep depression, and it was really hard in my early 20s and being married and then having children and going from there and trying to raise children in a positive light while you're completely drowning and still not understanding what's wrong with you is extremely difficult.
Yeah.
So yeah, I had a facade for years, but then once I finally had the right doctor, after I would say at least hundreds of doctors being misdiagnosed, the one doctor that finally diagnosed me was my miracle, because I finally knew what my demon was, and I was able to fight that demon head on. And once I knew what it was, it took me 2 years to figure it out and to read the signs and to battle. And then my daughter was asked to do a tour through Europe, and I had never been to Europe before, and my husband didn't want me to go, fear of having a massive attack while we were gone. And I said I really wanted to do it, because if I could do that, I could do anything. And so we went to Europe, and we went to Austria, and I toured all around Austria and Germany and Switzerland and in and out of churches. Cool. And I was surrounded by beauty and song, and it gave me such an inspiring part of my life that I was really feeling like there was a spirit next to me proving to me that I had the light in me still and I could move on with my life. And when we got back from that trip, my life changed, and that's how this journey got started. And my daughter suggested I do an Instagram on living with multiple sclerosis, and so I started off with 2 followers, and it has grown over the last year and a half, and I just want people to see my life as it is today, and I try to be as honest and truthful as I can behind the camera and go from there. And I use my modeling photos to try to share with all of you how I felt that day of the particular day of the photo shoot, because those are extremely hard on me and long and exhausting. But I will continue to do it every day as long as there's a job to be done and a story to be told.
What is it about modeling that brings you so much joy? What lights you up about it?
You know, it's really funny is because when I was little, I'm 5'2", as you guys don't really know because I'm always in heels, so I look much taller. 5'2", 5'2", you don't ever get to go into the modeling world. And that was always like one of my biggest dreams as a child, but that was never gonna happen. And then all of a sudden, Instagram world opens up a whole new light of things, and I was scouted, I guess, by a local photographer, and he said, I want to help you grow your Instagram. And we met, Robert and I met with him, and he worked with me and taught me how to model and how to turn, and it gave me confidence, and it really brought my true personality out, and that's how you see it in the photographs that I do on jobs. So they have now learned that angles are great, and angles make you look a whole lot taller than you actually are. And then there's a fabulous thing called high heels. That's great. So yeah, modeling gave me confidence, and this one photographer definitely gave me the confidence to continue moving forward. So now it's very easy for me to be in front of a camera with anybody.
Awesome.
That is my photographer today, and working on jobs. So yeah, I loved it. It was amazing.
I feel like with storytelling, it's really amazing therapy too, because storytelling helps you to explore so many different aspects of yourself that maybe in a typical, interaction with people we don't move through, because it's a very contractual, like, hi, yes, how are you? Hello, yes, how are you? But I love how you said that when you were little, this was a dream, because when you were little, that was your truth.
Yeah.
And now as an adult, like, you are living that truth, and that's really special. So if there's something that someone is really wanting to do that was their childhood dream, what would you say to encourage them to go and find that?
I would tell them the same thing I tell my children: never give up on your dreams, and never let anyone make you feel that you're not empowered, because nobody can make you feel unempowered. They can try, but it's all up to you and yourself and your self-motivation of, I can do this. And it's kind of like wanting to play Russian roulette, or wanting to be a superhero and win those battles, but you're like, well, I'm only this little. But when you grow older, if you continue to have that power within you, and you never let anyone stomp out that light, you can do anything. And I learned that, and today I believe that I am stronger than ever in my mindset and in my will to continue to push forward, whether it's at a snail's pace, or a full-blown Wonder Woman punch, and to keep moving on. So I believe that the world today needs to constantly move forward instead of allowing others to hold us back.
Absolutely.
Whether we're disabled or whether we're fully functional, the world is, as they call, our oyster, and the universe, and it's how we perceive it that I had to learn. And today I perceive every day as a new beginning. And so I would teach my younger self to, yes, never give up on your dreams, and to constantly push forward. And anyone that I come in contact with is constantly, you got to always live in the light. When you live in the shadows and the facades is when you find yourself falling into the deep hole that consumes us and destroys us. And yeah, I've seen that hole too many times.
What would you say to someone that feels like they won't be able to pull themselves out of the hole again, if it's just too dark for too long?
I've been there. I've been in that hole. Honestly, I've tried to take my life 3 times over the last 30 years. I've asked my husband to divorce me, because being in that hole is extremely debilitating and frustrating, and you feel like you can't get out, and it's easier, well, you feel like it's easier, that if you're not here, the life would be better without you. But somehow, some way, I truly believe that my spirit guide, as I call them, knew that I had a purpose in life. And everything that has happened to me that people would say is horrible has made me stronger and has made me continue to climb up out of that hole a little bit every day. And I look at all of the bad things that have happened to me throughout my years as my battle scars and a learning lesson. And it would have been so much easier for me to take my life than it is for me to keep battling and climbing up out of that deep, dark hole of depression and continue to move forward and stronger and live a healthier life. And so, yeah, I definitely believe that there is no one that can make you go down that hole. They can try, and they can put you there, and it's deep and dark, but I truly believe that we all have light around us to stay positive and to continue to move forward, living with whatever we're facing in life.
Absolutely. That's, the thing about what you just shared is that I feel like a lot more people than we expect are dealing with these really dark demons. And those dark demons and those dark phantoms are not ever something to be taken lightly. But it's something that I think is really important for people to speak about more, because depression and anxiety and the deepest, darkest holes affect so many more people than we would ever know. So with your Instagram and with your message, I think it's really special that you're using these platforms that can either be used as a really ego space, a dark space, a surface space. You're using it to speak your whole truth and to share those things, because I know that if I was a person that was diagnosed with MS and by myself, I didn't think there's anyone I could talk to. If I saw this and heard the truth about you saying something so dark of the space that you didn't want to be here anymore, so dark of a space that you were trying to tell your family to move on without you, and all of these things, these are really important things to share, and I'm really impressed with your strength and your bravery for sharing those things, because this is how we move through it together. Mm-hmm. And how would you suggest someone to speak about what they're going through? Like I feel like it's almost comparable to a stunt in a sense, mm-hmm. a spirit stunt, if you will, a soulful stunt, to allow yourself to be seen from the darkest space that you do have and to share exactly what's really going on. So how, for someone that if you were a person that was dealing with something that was so heavy that you almost feel ashamed of it, because we're supposed to be these happy, perfect beings, mm-hmm. How would you suggest they can take that leap, take that jump, go for that soulful stunt and jump into the abyss of being honest of, I am not okay, and for it to not to be a sign of weakness or a sign to be ostracized or isolated, but a sign to be gathered around?
That was hard. Yeah, that was extremely hard on me to accept and to let out, and I've lost friends over that, of coming out and telling the truth of how I felt. But as I've always told myself and my children and people around me and the ones that I love the most, those aren't true friends. Mm-hmm. If they walk away from you when you've opened your wounds in your heart and soul, and you tell them that you tried to take your life, you need empathy. And if someone hasn't been around that or can't accept it, then that's something you don't need in your life. And I have actually expressed it with my children growing up, and have been completely honest with them that, yeah, I've been there. I've thought of it. I've tried it. I've thought of a way of even, how do I do it where the insurance would pay for it? How do I deal with the depression of the everyday pain of living with multiple sclerosis? How do I continue to move forward. And there is no real one answer. It's just an everyday challenge, like you doing your stunts. And it's kind of like just jumping straight into life. And some days you win and some days you lose. But yeah, I kind of feel like I guess I'm kind of a little bit like you, like a stunt double, because you have to play a role and you have to move forward.
Double yourself.
And you have to double yourself.
You gotta be your own stunt double.
Yeah, exactly.
How about, okay, that's amazing, number one. Yes. You gotta be your own hero, your own superhero.
Gotta be your own hero, because nobody else is going to be your hero.
Yes. How did you learn how to love yourself first so that you could show up as a healthy and whole healthy and whole individual first, to be able to show up to your other challenges in your other roles in life, as a wife, as a mother, as a coworker, as a model? How did you find that strength?
That was hard. I think it was the last time that I thought about taking my life. I had suffered a really, really bad attack, and this time I was completely paralyzed. And I thought they didn't need that in their life. I didn't want them to have to pick me up and put me on the toilet. I didn't want them to look at me like I was a burden. I'm sorry, can you question again? How
would you find the initial way to love yourself first so that you can be strong and enjoy your other aspects, but to realize that you come first?
That I come first,
yes.
Yeah. That's the hardest thing a mother can do, or any individual, to love yourself first, because we're taught to give ourselves to everybody. But if you don't love yourself 100%, you can't give to anybody else. And you can't give the love, or you can't even give a simple smile to another person if you don't love yourself. But I found that at my darkest hour, when I was ready to say I can't any longer, I heard a voice that said, you come first and everybody else comes second, because I have to take care of me and my home. And it's not my house home that I live in, it's this home right here. This is my first home and my only home I will ever have. And I need to nourish it and love it and take care of it and respect it and keep rebuilding it every day. And that's where I found my greatest strength, was to learn to love this right here. And yeah, there's days that I don't love it, and there's days that I want to just
That's human, totally common.
But yes, I have learned to love myself first, because I'm able to give myself out to all of you more. And writing my book has a very in-depth life of my journey from a small born child in Bangor, Maine to California. And this book is incredibly therapeutic. It has made me cry, laugh, stress out, to, oh my gosh, it's on the next step to printing, and holding it in my hands that day was incredible.
Can you show us how big it is?
Oh my God, I'm still working. But when it actually came to print,
Awesome.
And this is in its raw form of the book, and we still have
a whole lot of life in here.
There's a lot of life in there. There's over 30 years of life in there, and it has the good, the bad, and the ugly. But this is the book, and it will be ready by October. And this is my life, and in here you are going to laugh, cry, shatter, shake, and I hope that you don't want to put it down, because through every madness to hystericalness of me peeing my pants to finding and trusting in myself and trusting in others and living my life and feeling heartfelt gratitude from everyone that loves me and cherishing those moments, all of it is in this book. And it has faced with many demons of not just MS, growing up with asthma, constantly being sick, to everything good and bad in my life, and the real truth behind the facade of what we feel we need to do in life. So, yeah.
What would you leave your followers with as one of your favorite quotes, or a way to look at the day or life as a whole whenever things are dark or things are good, to stay grounded? What's your favorite way to remember to stay grounded and to just let it go and be peaceful and move through? What would you say?
If I could look at every single person out there that's dealing with everything in life, the first thing I would say is keep yourself grounded first, and then look at what you can do to help others and give back. And it may just be a small segment of what you can give back, but the more that you realize what you're doing and you can give back, then life changes. And yeah, just never give up. Never give up. And when you're in that dark spot, turn to what you think is your greatest fear. Turn it around and let someone know you're in that dark spot and you need help, because we all need help. And living our everyday life is learning to grow. And when we're born, we can't fend for ourselves. And we need help of our parents to nourish us and care for us and teach us how to walk and talk and feed us and bring us along. So that's what we need to do with everybody and with ourselves, to continue to learn and grow and nourish and move on with our lives, and just always keep moving forward. And you can always learn. There's so much to learn in life. And I love learning, and I love being around people and sharing my story. And we sometimes cry together, and sometimes we laugh, but you gotta have laughter in your life too. And you gotta kind of laugh at yourself, and I do that a lot. I laugh at myself constantly, and I find that really helps.
Absolutely, yeah.
With my serotonin levels and everything, and just everyday stress.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So October is when we can look for your book?
Yes, so June the editors are taking over, and October will be being sent to Amazon, and then ready for the holidays.
Exciting!
I know, so exciting.
Well, congratulations.
Yes, thank you
I'm really
so
proud
much.
Of you. Thank you for sharing this today.
Thank
and
you.
We'll catch you guys on the next one.
Yes, thank you everybody.